You're all dark and twisty inside.
Dark and twisty.
This is a videotape deposition of Mitchell Johnson taken on behalf of the plaintiffs in the matter of Mitchell K. Wright et al. Versus Andrew Golden et al. in the Circuit Court of Craighead County, Arkansas. Case number CIV-98-394. This deposition is being held at 280 North College, Fayetteville, Arkansas. Today's date is April 2, 2007. The time is 12:03 p.m. The court reporter's name is Beth Kaltenberger, and the videotape specialist is Steve Grilletta. Present for the plaintiffs is attorney Bobby McDaniel, and Mr. Johnson is here without representation, but has another party here that, if you would please, sir, introduce.
Mrs. Leslie Bouchard, my fiance.
Thank you, sir. Would the court reporter please swear in with us?
Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in the matter now pending will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Johnson, would you state your full name for the record, please?
Mitchell Scott Johnson.
And Mr. Johnson, you're here pursuant to a notice and subpoena for a deposition. It's now 12 o'clock. It was scheduled to start at 10:30
Yes, sir.
on today's date. And apparently you had some car trouble or something?
Yes, sir, I did.
And your subpoena was accepted by your attorney so that we did not have to have you personally served. Your attorney is Doug Norwood.
That is correct.
And Mr. Norwood notified you of the subpoena when?
Friday.
Okay. Did he tell you, when did he tell you that it was changed from Jonesboro to here in Washington County?
Friday afternoon, I believe.
Okay. Did you go down to your attorney's office before Friday and have the subpoena served on you by a process server?
No, sir. Not that I know of.
Okay. Were you ever in the attorney's office before Friday when a subpoena was given to you, read to you, or informed about a subpoena for a deposition in this case?
No, sir.
Okay. You recognize that you're here today to answer questions in relation to the civil case relating to the Westside shooting incident. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll get into some more details in a minute, but first, let me have your current street address and mailing address.
I don't have one really in my name. I'm staying with a friend of mine.
Who are you staying with?
Just a friend of mine.
What's his name?
Michael Lindsay.
Lindsay?
Yes, sir.
What is the street address?
1375 North Leverett.
1375 North Leverett here in
Yes, sir.
Fayetteville?
Yes, sir.
Is there a home phone number there?
No, sir.
Do you have a cell phone?
I don't. No.
And is there a cell phone that a message can be left for you?
On my fiance's phone.
All right. What is her name again?
Leslie Bouchard.
And what is her cell phone number?
It's 479-244-5432.
And where does she live?
On Leverett as well.
Does she live with you?
No, sir.
And what is her street address on Leverett?
I don't know her street address.
Okay. Does she live by herself or with parents?
Lives with roommates.
With roommates. Okay. Are your parents both still alive?
As far as I know, yes, sir.
Where is your father now residing?
I don't know. I don't deal with my father. Scott Johnson, I don't deal with him.
When's the last time you had any dealings with him?
May last year, May or June.
What caused the relationship to terminate?
It's just, me and my father's never got along.
Okay.
You know, and I don't, ever since I've been free, I really just haven't contacted him really.
And what is your age now?
I'm 22, sir.
Okay. And are you now employed?
No, sir.
Where is the last employment that you had?
Walmart.
Here in Fayetteville?
Yes, sir.
And when did you last work at Walmart?
I quit January 1st this year.
And what was your job there?
Photo lab specialist. Or sales associate, photo lab specialist.
And how have you supported yourself financially since you quit at Walmart?
I really haven't. My buddy's been taking care of me.
Who?
My friend Michael Lindsay's been taking care of me, really, or my fiance.
All right. And what about your mother? Where does she live now?
Somewhere in Jonesboro. Or Black Rock. I think Black Rock now.
What is her name now?
Gretchen.
Is it still Gretchen Woodard?
Yes, sir.
Is she still married to
Yes,
the
sir.
same gentleman? And you have to answer out loud because of the
yes.
court report. Okay. When is your last communication with her?
With my mother?
Yes.
Probably a couple days ago, 2 days ago or so.
What is her phone number?
I don't know it off the top of my head.
Is it listed in the book or is it a cell phone?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's a home phone, so it'd probably be listed.
All right. We'll have the court reporter give you one of her business cards, and when
Okay.
you can check the phone number, you can call her, and she can supplement this deposition with that phone number, okay?
Okay.
When did you get out of federal custody?
On my 21st birthday, August 11th, 2005,
And in what state were you being held when you were released?
in Tennessee.
And when you were released on any conditions of any kind?
No, sir.
And I heard, now whether it's true or not, I don't know, that when you were released, you had intentions of going into the ministry. Is that correct?
That is true.
Did you ever go into the ministry?
I have.
And what ministry did you go into?
I was studying to be a preacher
Where?
in Memphis for a while, and then I moved to South Carolina. And I started going to church in South Carolina,
What denomination or affiliation was it?
Seventh-day Adventist.
And have you been a preacher, or are you doing any active religious work at this time?
Not now, no.
Why did you change that determination?
I left South Carolina. I haven't changed. I just haven't found a Seventh-day Adventist church here.
Okay.
So,
And I also heard that after your release, you have expressed to some people that you were substantially remorseful
Yes,
about
sir.
what had happened. Is that correct?
I deal with this every day of my life.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
When we say this event, we're referring to the Westside shooting
I understand.
incident. Tell me who you may have talked with about the remorse that you feel from the Westside shooting incident.
Specific people.
Yes.
Natalie Brooks' sister, or stepsister, Brandy Foreman, dated my brother for about 5 months. And I met her in July last year. And at first she didn't want to meet me, obviously, for obvious reasons. And one day she came home with my brother, and I happened to be there and run into her, and we sat down and we talked all night.
What did you tell her? What do you remember telling her?
How regretful I was, how sorry I was that she had to lose her sister, how, I deal with this every day of my life. Every day I wake up, I think, this should have never happened,
Tell me how you deal with it.
Just try and pray. Lord, forgive me. Bless those who are lost. Bless those who remain,
And have you had any contact with Andrew Golden since you were in court in Jonesboro some years ago?
No, sir.
When you were in the Alexander unit together after your court in Jonesboro, did you have any contact with him?
Little. We went to school sometimes together.
And did you and Andrew discuss the event?
No, sir.
Did you ask him anything about it?
We kept to ourselves. We
Kept
didn't
to
talk
yourself.
about business like that.
All right. After you got out of the federal detention, did you seek any therapy or counseling with any organized counselor anywhere?
I've talked to ministers about it. I'm not professional psychologists or psychiatrists. No, I can't afford that.
Just
But-
ministers?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And my family, my loved ones.
And who in your family or loved ones have you talked to about it?
The woman present.
Okay.
My mother, my father, my brother,
And what is your brother's name?
Monty Johnson. Monty Johnson.
I'm a little hard of hearing, so be patient
Yes,
with me.
yes, it's fine.
And where does he live now?
I'm not sure. I think he still is with my mom in
Okay.
Black Rock.
When the shooting took place, there were some men up on a roof who saw you and Andrew Golden. Have you ever talked to either of those men or communicated with them in
No,
any
sir.
way?
I haven't had any contact with anybody involving this case whatsoever.
Okay. When the police detained you, tell me, where were you when they detained you, and what did you have in your possession when they detained you?
I couldn't tell you exactly where we were. We was behind the school.
In the woods?
We was on a street, on a side street.
Okay. And did you have weapons with you?
Yes, sir.
And what weapons did you have with you?
I don't remember. I think we had 5 apiece.
5 apiece?
Yes, sir.
And you were wearing camouflage?
Yes, sir, I was.
And you were wearing camouflage over your other clothes?
Yes, sir.
Where did you get the camouflage?
That was my hunting gear.
That was your hunting gear. Okay. Yes?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
All
Yes,
right.
sir.
And where did Andrew get his camouflage?
I don't know.
Was he wearing camouflage when you first saw him that morning?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
When the police detained you, one of the weapons you had was a pistol. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And did you put the pistol to Andrew Golden's head at one time and tell him he had to continue on running with you?
I don't know. I may have. It's been a long time, Bobby. It really has. I don't know. I can't say yes or no.
Okay. When the police detained you, did they take you to the van? Did you
No,
show
sir.
them where the van was?
No, sir, I didn't.
There was a lot of camping gear in the van, correct?
I believe so.
Who loaded the camping gear into the van?
We both did.
And where was the camping gear obtained from?
I don't know. It wasn't mine. Most of it wasn't mine. I had like a sleeping bag in there, maybe.
What?
A sleeping bag, maybe,
Okay.
if that.
And did you help carry the rest of the gear to the van?
No,
Did Andrew carry it all to the van?
I don't know.
Where was the van when the camping gear was loaded into it?
I don't know. Either at his house. I believe it was at his house.
Was it on the same morning of the shooting?
Yes, sir.
And where did he live at that time?
I don't know. I don't know the street address. It was off Dan Avenue and some other street.
Okay. And when you went into his house, did you attempt to break into the gun safe that his parents had and were unsuccessful doing so?
I didn't know.
You did not?
No, sir.
Did Andrew?
I don't know. The guns were already there when I got there
The guns were already where?
at that house,
The guns that were used in the shooting
as far as I know.
were already at the...
The pistols were, yeah.
Mr. Johnson, did you go to Doug Golden's house and go in that house and get some guns?
Andrew did. Yeah, I was with him. I drove him over there.
And you went in as well, did you not?
I believe so.
And you and he both loaded guns out of that house into the van, did you not?
No,
He loaded them all?
no. We never took the guns back to the van.
All right. You took all the guns from the house to the place of the shooting, right?
Right.
You helped gather ammunition at the house, did you not?
Yes, sir.
And how did you know where the ammunition was?
I didn't. Andrew knew where it was. I didn't know.
Did he tell you to go get it?
No, sir.
Well, how did you know where to find it if you
Because
didn't?
he sat it on the table.
It's laying on the table.
He sat it on it. He went and retrieved it from somewhere and sat it on the table.
He
I
went-
don't know. I don't know where it was.
He went and retrieved it.
Yes, sir.
Where were you when he went to retrieve the ammunition?
I was downstairs at the back door, making sure no one came that way.
Did you ever go upstairs?
In the kitchen, yes, sir.
And is the kitchen where the gun rack was?
I believe so.
And did you see the gun rack with all the guns on the wall?
Yes, sir.
And did you help take any of the guns out of the gun rack?
No, sir.
You did not.
No, sir. Not that I recall.
And the gun that you used in the shooting was a 30-06 with a telescopic sight, right?
I believe so.
And had you ever shot a telescopic sight before?
I don't know. I don't remember. I think I have, but I've never owned one.
I understand. I'm just asking if you'd ever shot
Right.
a gun with a telescopic sight before that day.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay, and whose gun would it have been that you had shot with a telescopic sight before?
I don't know. I've had several friends I went hunting with that had guns.
Okay. And the distance from where you were stationed when the shooting took place, the distance to, say, the nearest victim would have been how far about?
I don't know.
Can you give me an estimate, the length of this room?
Nah, it's farther than that.
Hmm?
It was farther than that.
Farther than that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You know about a football field. Was it half a football field, a third of a football field?
I don't know. I said, Bobby, it's been a long time since, this happened. Say 3/4 of a football field, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe a football field.
And with the telescopic sight, you were able to clearly see the targets you were shooting, were you not? That's what a telescopic sight does.
Right. Right.
Okay.
But I wasn't intentionally aiming for anybody. But
You were aiming through a telescopic sight,
yes, sir.
right?
I had one on the gun, yes.
And you were looking through it before you pulled the trigger.
Yes, sir.
So you could see who or what you were shooting.
Yes, sir.
Could you see their faces? You could.
If I aimed at them, yes, I could.
Okay. And why did you aim at Miss Wright?
I didn't.
Who did?
I mean, it wasn't intentional that Miss Wright got hit. On my behalf, it was never planned on my behalf to intentionally harm anyone.
Are you telling me that you were shooting a 30-06
Mm-hmm.
that you knew killed animals, and you had gone hunting before, and you knew what a rifle would do
Yes, sir.
to an animal, and certainly you knew what it would do to a person, right?
At the time, I didn't understand the full devastation, but yes,
Oh.
I understand.
Yeah, you'd watch news stories, you'd watch TV, war, and various things. You knew that if somebody was shot with a rifle, it'd kill them, didn't you?
Back then, I didn't understand that, though.
What do you mean you didn't understand it?
Back then, I didn't understand that, I didn't really think all the way through, and I didn't understand that, what I was doing potentially put people in harm, and if they did get killed, they don't come back. I never went to the school that day to kill anyone. If you recall, my 30-06, it hit. Miss Wright got killed very unfortunately, and one or two other people got hit with two bullets. Two of my bullets hit 3 people. The other 3 went in the air, and that's what I meant to do all along. Why the other 2 hit somebody, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And with the 30-06, if you were trying to miss Miss Wright, you could just aim at a wall and miss her, could you not?
More than likely, yeah.
And you didn't do that, did you? You aimed right at her because you hit her.
Not necessarily. I don't remember shooting anybody.
Are you telling us you shot and participated in the killing of 5 people, and you don't remember ever pulling a trigger on a gun?
I don't remember shooting anybody, no, sir. I don't.
Do you remember pulling the trigger on the gun?
The first shot, yeah.
And where were you aiming when you pulled the trigger the first
roof.
time?
The roof.
The roof. And why were you aiming at the roof?
because I wasn't intending to harm anybody.
And why did you change from shooting at the roof to shooting at people?
I don't know.
And Andrew Golden went in to pull the fire alarm at the school, correct?
I don't know. I don't know who pulled the fire alarm.
You knew that was his plan to go in and pull the fire alarm. Y'all had been talking about that for days, had you not?
All right. Whether he
Sir?
physically did it or not, I don't know. You know, I can't recall. I don't know.
You couldn't see him inside the school
Right, exactly.
building. But you and he had been talking about this plan for days, had you not? And that he was going to go in and pull the alarm and people would come out? You'd been talking
Maybe 2 or 3 days
Okay.
before that, yeah. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
And it was planned that you and he would be in the bushes with guns and shoot at people when they came out. That was planned, wasn't it?
No, sir.
Well, what was the plan on taking the guns and set up the ambush outside the school, him go in and pull the fire alarm, and you know the door's locked when people go out and you can't get back in? You knew that?
I didn't know that.
Okay. But what was the plan then if you're going to set up this ambush with stolen guns
Okay.
and he was going to pull the fire alarm to have everybody run out and you're set up out there in an ambush?
Mhm.
What was the purpose of that?
I was told that he was tired of people messing with him and he was going to scare people. He's going to prove a point that he's not a pushover, and he asked me to help him to obtain a vehicle to get to and from where he needed to go, and that was supposed to be that on that.
That was supposed to be what?
That was supposed to be my involvement in all of this.
Okay.
Okay. I obtained the vehicle and everything else, and he changed plans. He said, well, you need to come with me, and that's what I done. I was like, okay. He told me solely it was to scare people. He didn't tell me that he went there to kill anybody. He did not, and I specifically told him I have a brother and a sister that went to middle school. They're friends of mine, but I called them my brother and my sister, and I didn't want anyone getting hurt.
Were those the two people that you told not to go to school that day because
Yes,
they
sir,
might
it
get
was.
hurt?
Yes, sir, it was.
And you told them that the day before?
I don't recall. I don't know if it was the day before or Friday or when
Yeah,
it was.
A day or 2 or 3 before,
Right.
you told them don't go to school on Tuesday, didn't you?
Right. Yes, sir.
Because you didn't want them to get hurt.
Right. Correct.
So then you knew whatever
I
was
said
going
if something were to happen, I told them this is exactly what I told Jennifer. I said, I said, I've heard something bad's supposed to happen in school tomorrow, and I don't want you involved.
And what had you heard bad was going to happen?
Well, I knew Andrew was going to do the shooting.
You knew what?
So I knew Andrew had planned to do the shooting, you know, and I didn't, in case something did go wrong, I didn't want them involved.
Why didn't you go to either the police or the school officials when you heard Andrew Golden was going to bring guns to the area of the school and start shooting? Why didn't you
I
go
don't
to the
know.
authorities?
I don't know. One, they already knew. He'd already been suspended once before for that, you know, as far as I recall. Why personally I didn't go, I don't know.
Okay.
It's a good question. I should have.
When the shooting incident took place and you were going to the ambush site, as you were setting up your ambush site, you had your guns and your ammo, right?
Yes, sir.
And you had the 30-06 with the telescopic sight, right?
Yes, sir, I did.
When you were shooting the gun, were you resting it on a tree limb, or were you holding it with your elbow on your knee, or were you laying on the ground? How were you physically holding the gun when you shot it?
I believe on my knees. I believe I was on my knees.
Where you were standing like on your knees, or were you
I was
sitting
crouched.
cross-
I was sitting with my legs behind me. I was sitting on my heels is what I was doing.
You were sitting on your heels.
On my heels. On my knees, yeah.
Okay, on your knees and your heels with your butt on your heels.
Yes, sir.
All right. Were you just holding the gun up
Yes, sir.
loose, or were you have it against a tree
I
or
was
a
holding
limb?
it loose.
Okay. And how many years had you been a hunter before then? Had you been hunting for quite a long time before that shooting incident?
Not necessarily quite a long time, maybe a couple of years, 2 years, maybe a year or two.
What kind of hunting had you done?
Done deer hunting, dove hunting, squirrel hunting, rabbit hunting.
And you had, and Had you ever killed any squirrels or rabbits?
Yes, sir.
Had you ever killed a deer?
No, sir. I haven't.
Had you ever killed a dove?
Yes, sir.
Doves are hard to hit. I've never been dove hunting, but I understand doves are hard to hit. Is that right? They fly
Yeah,
fast.
If you catch them while they're flying, yes, sir, they're fast. I've shot them sitting still.
Okay. You ever caught them flying?
No, sir. I
Okay.
haven't.
And you had a shotgun of your own, did you not?
Yes, sir, I did.
And who got you that shotgun?
I believe my uncle.
Okay. And you had shot that shotgun numerous times?
Yes, sir, I have.
And you would take aim and target practice with it?
Sometimes.
And sometimes you'd use it for actual hunting,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
So you knew how to aim a gun, didn't you?
Yes, sir, I did.
And you knew how to pull the trigger to hit the object you were aiming at, didn't you?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. So you knew how to aim with a telescopic sight as well because you'd done it before.
Right.
You put the crosshairs on what you're aiming at, right?
Pretty much, yes, sir. Depending on what kind of scope it is.
And with the scope that was involved in this, it had crosshairs, did it not?
I believe it did, yes.
And you knew that if you put the crosshairs on your target, whether the target is a chair, a wall, or a person, that's where the bullet's going to go, right?
More than likely, unless it's detoured.
And the bullet is not going to go except where the crosshairs are pointing, right?
More than likely.
Okay. So when the bullets from your gun struck people, it struck people because the crosshairs of that telescopic sight were on those people, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How did you select which person you put the crosshairs on and which person you didn't put the crosshairs on?
I didn't. Again, I don't remember shooting after the first. I don't remember pulling the trigger after the first shot. I remember Andrew shot twice first. I shot once in the air, and I looked, and I seen Natalie get hit in the head. And I don't remember anything else after that besides Andrew coming back to get me, telling me we're on the run.
And did Andrew shoot Natalie?
Yes, sir, he did. As far as I know.
Was she the first person hit?
I don't know. I just remember seeing her
Where was she hit?
in the head, I believe,
Was she
or the neck.
Okay, was she facing Andrew and you, or was she have her back to you, side to you? Do you remember?
I don't know.
Who else do you remember was shot that day?
That's it. That at that very moment, that's the only person I seen get hit. And after that, I don't remember anything else.
After the first shot was fired, Andrew fired the first shot, correct?
Yes, sir, he did.
Did that first shot hit Natalie?
No, sir,
Do you know who the first shot hit?
it didn't.
It didn't hit anybody?
It went in the air as planned. The first two or three shots went in the air, and my first shot went in the air.
And then when the first was, so you think Natalie was the first person actually struck by a bullet?
I don't know. I mean, he shot several times, so I don't know.
Okay. And he was shooting a carbine?
I don't recall.
Okay.
I'm not sure what he was using,
Semi-automatic rifle?
as far as I know.
And yours was a semi-automatic rifle?
Yes, sir, it was.
Okay. And what about the teachers or the students or both? Were they screaming and yelling after the first shot was fired?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Did you see them running around? What did you see them doing?
I just remember them lining up, coming outside. And then Andrew got back. He fired the first two shots. I shot once in the air. And I said I wasn't really looking at the people. I was looking up when I was shooting. Of course, I was looking through my scope to shoot. I shot in the air once.
Why did you bring it down instead of shooting in the air? Why did you bring it down?
Well, I didn't bring it down. I looked. I took my gun down. I put it all the way down and looked. And that's when I seen Natalie get hit.
Okay. And then when did you bring your gun back up and aim through the crosshairs at people? When and why did you do that?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Why did you do that?
I don't know.
Can you give us any explanation why a young man, and you were how old at the time?
13.
Why a 13-year-old boy would participate in the slaughter of 5 people and injuring numerous others? What possible reason was there?
Why I participated. Let me see. I don't really know. I mean, I was going through a lot at the time, you know. I'd hit puberty a year before that. A lot of confusion came with that, you know. Been around gang members a lot of my life, you know. I smoked weed back then, sometimes, not all the time. And that was only with Scott. That was with my dad. You know, at the time of the shooting, I remember feeling like I was trapped, like no one understood me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I felt cornered. I felt like I didn't have anywhere to go, nothing to do. I thought my life, you know, was at an end. And when Andrew came to me with it, you know, at first I was like, man, you got to be out your mind. You have to be out of your mind to come to me with some crazy stuff like this. And, you know, I was in the streets a lot.
You were what?
I was in the streets a lot with a lot of my friends, you know. And I seen how they lived life, and I tried copying that. And it just, I don't know, I just felt like I thought my life was pretty much over with because I had a lot of people who were against me then.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've told me that you have hopes of going into the ministry with the Seventh-day Adventist Church, right?
Yes, sir, I did.
Tell me what you think about the importance of an oath, because you swore an oath to God Almighty today, right?
Yes, sir.
Is it your religious belief that after you die, you'll face a supreme being?
Yes, sir.
To answer for what you do and don't do?
Yes, sir. I do believe that.
And do you believe when you swear to God that you're going to be held accountable if you lie about it?
Of course.
Okay.
If you lie, you're sinning. So you're accountable anyway.
And when you swear a lie to God, because when you swore to God to this deposition,
right,
that carries heavier consequences, doesn't it?
A sin is a sin.
Okay. Now, at the time of this shooting incident, before that, you had self-mutilated yourself a couple of times, had you not? Cut your arm with a knife?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Once.
Once or twice in the same place?
Once.
Okay. And you did that because you didn't like yourself?
No.
Why did you do that?
Gang related.
Gang related. What gang?
Blood. Treetop.
What?
Treetop Pyru.
I can't hear you.
Treetop Pyru. Is a part of the Bloods.
Treetop, and what's the last name?
Pyru.
Spell that.
Piru.
And where is that gang located?
Worldwide.
Was it located in Jonesboro?
No.
And where was it located? Minnesota?
Yeah. Little Rock. They have a branch in Little Rock. They have a branch in a lot of places.
Okay. When's the last contact before the shooting you had physically being present with some gang members?
A day before that.
Where?
In Jonesboro.
Did the gang have a club in Jonesboro or a group in Jonesboro?
Yes, sir.
And
it's a different part. It's not what I was in. It's a different part, but it's the same. You know, it's the same people, just a different part of the people.
All right. I want you to. The shooting happened on a Tuesday?
I don't recall. I don't know what day it was.
Right. The day before the shooting.
Uh-huh.
Tell me what you did the day before the shooting.
Got up, went to school. Didn't say a word to anybody except my sister Jennifer. The last part of school, I stopped and talked to her.
What'd you tell her?
I believe that's when I told her don't come to school. I think. And
did she ask you why?
Yeah.
What'd you tell her?
And I was like, I just heard something bad might happen tomorrow. Don't come to school. She's like, okay, whatever. You know.
But when you took the van, I understood your sister was on the school bus, wasn't she?
No, sir.
She was not?
No, sir. Not that I know of.
Did she skip school?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
All right. What else did you do the day before the shooting? You said you saw some gang members the day before.
I talked to them over the phone. I didn't see them physically. I stayed at my house.
Who did you talk to?
I don't recall names. Just I haven't had any contact with them since I got locked up. I let all that go.
You know who you talked to?
I don't know names.
You don't know any names?
No.
How'd you call them?
Over the phone. You know what I mean? Back then, I said I haven't had contact with these people in a long time.
Uh-huh.
And I don't intend to. That's not
What
the type of life I want to live anymore.
We're talking about back then.
Right? Okay.
What'd you talk to this gang member about?
Small stuff. We never conversed about the shooting. They never knew about it.
Okay.
They were, they got upset when they found out it was me who done it, because they're supposed to, in their group of rules or whatever, anything I do, something like that, they're supposed to know beforehand. And I told them it didn't have anything to do with what they do. I didn't, so it wasn't even supposed to, nobody was supposed to even get hurt that day. So, when I called them, I just talked to them, see what's up, how they're doing, whatever, and told them I might leave town for a while.
Remember, now you're under your oath, and you're
Yes,
telling
sir.
me you can't remember the name of a single one of these gang members.
We didn't really know we weren't on first name basis. We called each other different names.
What'd you call some of them?
Let me see. I mean, there's several people, but Crook, Bloodhound, TJ. There's a bunch of people.
Did they go to Westside?
No, they're all older people. They're out of school. And most of these people are not in Jonesboro. I didn't,
Were they in Minnesota?
some were in Little Rock, some were in Memphis.
So you didn't talk to anybody in Jonesboro?
No.
They were all long-distance calls?
Yes, sir.
Whose phone were you using?
I don't know. I guess my mom's, probably.
What'd your mom say about you making long-distance calls on her phone?
She didn't mind.
She did not mind?
No.
Who paid the bill?
She did. My dad did. My mother doesn't work.
All right. Your dad or your stepdad? Your stepdad?
I call him my dad, but he's my stepfather.
Okay. And your stepdad couldn't have any guns in the house because he'd been convicted of a federal drug crime, correct?
As far as I know, we never really talked about that.
And whose house did you keep your shotgun?
A neighbor's.
What's her name?
I don't know now. I think Owens's. The Owens family.
Did they live next door to where you lived at the time?
It was a little bit down the road.
And what was your address at the time of the shooting?
I don't know my address. It was on County Road 111,
County Road 111?
I believe, yeah.
Okay. Who else did you tell that something bad could happen?
That was it.
What about Amber?
Amber.
Vanover?
I don't know who that is.
You don't know an Amber. Did you know anybody named Amber? Amber.
Amber. I don't even recall going to school with anybody named Amber.
Okay. When you told your sister something bad might happen or somebody might get hurt, how did you think somebody might get hurt? What event would cause somebody to get hurt? The shooting?
Well, I didn't necessarily say someone was going to get hurt. I just said I heard something bad was supposed to happen. And yes, I was referring to the shooting.
And you were referring to the shooting. You didn't want her to go. Somebody might get hurt.
Could you restate that question, please?
Yes. You didn't want her to go because you knew there was going to be a shooting and you didn't want to run the risk of her getting hurt. Isn't that true?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So you knew the day before there was going to be a shooting and people could get hurt in that shooting.
It was possible.
Okay.
Even though it wasn't supposed to happen, it was possible.
And you don't know an Amber Vanover, Vannover?
No, sir, I do not.
Did you tell her not to come to school and that you'd loved her and that you'd see her sometime? That's
But-
the girl you thought you loved, isn't it?
I don't know Amber Vanover, sir. So obviously I couldn't tell her that if I don't know her.
Who is the girl you thought you loved at that time,
I didn't really love anybody then.
including
know.
yourself?
Nah, I didn't love myself then.
And have you ever heard of suicide by cop? Do you know what that phrase means?
I think, yes, sir.
That a person puts themselves in a situation so the police have to shoot them.
Right.
Rather than committing suicide themselves, they let
Right.
the cops kill them.
Right.
Was that part of your plan that day?
No, sir, it was not.
Okay. When who was Jonathan Woodard?
I don't know.
You don't know a Jonathan Woodard?
The name sounds familiar, but I don't know who that is.
Okay.
He's no relation of mine,
Okay.
I don't think.
And Mrs. Wright had put you in suspension twice, had she not?
Mrs. Wright?
Yes.
I don't believe so.
Who all the teachers that had put you in suspension?
Put me in suspension.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, I was on suspension a couple times, sir. You know, I'm not bragging about that. It's nothing to be.
You were on suspension more than a couple of times, weren't you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I was.
And Miss Wright had put you on suspension, had she not?
I don't believe she has.
Okay.
I know Coach Shipman has. I think Coach Shipman once. Miss Barnes, maybe.
Well, I've got a report of some discipline incidents,
Okay.
and it's got an incident, a non-diligent effort by Miss Wright. Do you remember that? Excessive
What's that
talking
mean?
after being warned several times not to, returning to the locker during class. Do you remember that? And she placed you on detention on October 15th, 1994. You remember that?
94?
Yeah.
I wasn't even in Arkansas in 94.
Okay. Well, maybe the date's wrong on 94, but she was placed. Did she place you on suspension?
Not that I recall, no, sir. Miss
Okay.
Wright was always good to me.
Or maybe it's 96. I can't read this.
96, possibly.
Yeah. And then another incident date, November 12th, 1996. Disorderly conduct by Miss Wright, in-school suspension again. Was in the hallway in class and hit the cover on the heater hard enough that the cover came off. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes, sir. I don't think that was Miss Wright who put me in suspension, though.
If it says if the incident report reports it's Miss Wright, you would disagree with that?
I think it was Miss Barnes who put me in suspension.
Look at that report, the top two items.
Okay. That's what it says. Paperwork can be wrong.
Okay. So with your understanding, Miss Wright did not put you in suspension at any time?
I don't believe she ever has.
Okay.
If she did, then I could be wrong, but I don't recall her putting me in detention or suspending me.
And in the journal page that you wrote, which was January 31st, 1997, you've read that before.
It's been a long time if I have.
Okay. You mention in there that you, after this sucky day is over, I am going home and killing squirrels pretending it is ISS. Do you remember reading that?
That's what it says.
And killing squirrels was kind of a code name for something other than real squirrels, wasn't it?
No, sir. I went hunting after I got home that day.
You did? Did you kill anything?
I don't think I did.
What gun did you use?
My shotgun.
Where did you go hunting?
Behind my house.
Was there woods back there?
Not anymore.
Was there at that time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I want you to look at what I'm going to show you as what has been marked to another deposition as exhibit numbers, and I'm going to have to come over close to you for you to be able to see them.
All right.
I'll let the videographer come in on. This is exhibit 3 to another deposition. You see all this equipment laid out beside the van?
Yes, sir, I do.
And did you help load that equipment into the van?
Some of it's mine.
Tell us what part of it's yours.
That Ruffles backpack, that
Just
jacket.
point to them.
This. I believe that's it.
What about the blowtorch and the camouflage bag, whatever that is?
That ain't mine. That's not mine.
All
I don't
right.
believe.
All right, now, turning that exhibit sideways, we see 30-06 rifle with a scope. That's the gun you used that day, is it not?
I believe so.
And then you see a pistol here that you also see down here. Is that the pistol that you carried that day?
That's two different pistols, sir.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
Okay.
I didn't hear the answer.
That's two different pistols.
I understand.
That's two.
Two different pistols,
Yes, sir.
but is one of those the pistol you carried that day, or did you carry both of them that day?
I believe that one is.
Okay, and then you see another pistol down here and another one here. There's at least 3 pistols in these 2 photographs, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you have all 3 of those pistols with you when you set up the ambush?
Not on this side, no.
I'm sorry?
Not on this side. These are not my pistols. This is not what I was carrying.
Okay. What all did you have in the way of guns that you were using or controlling that day, whether you actually fired them or not, when you set up in your ambush?
Rephrase the question. I don't understand what you mean.
All right. You said you carried weapons from the house to the place where you set up the ambush, right?
Yes, sir, I did.
What guns, weapons did you carry from the house up to where you set up the ambush?
The 30-06, that pistol you seen. And there was 3 other guns. I don't know. I don't know what
Were
size.
they rifles,
No,
pistols?
sir. They were pistols.
Okay. And you also had ammunition
Yes, sir, I did.
for the pistols and the rifle?
I believe so.
And did you have any extra clips or magazines for the rifle, or was the
No, sir.
ammunition loose?
It was loose.
Okay, you knew how to load the clip because you'd done that at the house, hadn't you?
I didn't load it. Andrew did.
Andrew did. Well, you watched him do it.
Right. I know how to load a clip.
Okay. So you had extra ammo you could have loaded into the clip easily, right?
Yes, sir.
And did you load any extra ammo into the clip?
No. It held 4 rounds.
5?
4.
4.
Held 4 in the magazine and 1 in the chamber.
Okay. And so you had 5 bullets that you fired that day.
That I recall. I think.
Did you reload it at any time?
I don't recall. I didn't at the school. No, sir. I didn't at the school.
Okay. Now, another exhibit is Exhibit 4. See that?
Exhibit 4?
Yes, sir. It's a picture of some of the material that was outside the van we looked up earlier.
Right.
And you see in the top right photograph a machete and some large knives. You see those?
Yes, sir, I do.
Whose blades were those?
They're not mine.
Where did they come from?
I don't know.
Did you help load them?
No, sir, I didn't.
How many? Where was the van when the equipment we see here in Exhibit 4? Where was the van parked when all that was loaded onto it?
I don't recall if it was, I believe at Andrew's house. I think.
Did Andrew go in and make trip after trip carrying this stuff out, and you just sit there and watch him, or did you help him load it?
All my stuff that you see that is mine, I loaded that. I didn't load anything else that I recall.
On this photograph in the upper right-hand corner of Exhibit 4, point to what was yours.
In Exhibit 4?
Yeah, right up in this right-hand corner. Show me what was yours.
This bag.
What is that bag? What do you call it? Is there a certain?
It's a backpack.
Okay.
You know,
All right. What else?
like a gym bag.
All right. What else?
And my jacket.
Okay. What about the camouflage? Was that yours?
No, sir. That's not. I had what I had on was the only camouflage I owned.
Okay. What about the boots? That you can see in the lower photograph as well.
No, those aren't mine.
What about the ropes with the duct tape around them?
No, sir.
What about the pistol with the speed or the speed load for
No,
pistols?
sir. I didn't own a pistol.
Okay. And back here, we'll turn it sideways, and you see a hunting arrows and a bow.
Yes, sir.
Whose was that?
It's not mine.
Did Mr. Golden produce that?
More than likely.
What about, what's that? Is that a bedroll?
I don't know.
Okay.
Some kind of camouflage.
What was the blowtorch for?
I don't know. It's not mine.
Did you and he have a plan for what you were going to do after the shooting took place?
Run away. Pretty much. Run
Huh?
away.
Run away. Run away where?
We didn't get that far ahead, really.
Well, when you were talking about this incident, you were planning it and discussed it at least several times, 2 or 3 days before the shooting, did you not?
We didn't go in full detail. He asked me to help him. I did that. I didn't go in. We didn't sit down and map it out. This is A, B, C, D. This is going to happen, then this, then this, then this. He told me, he's like, first he told me he wanted me to help him, just provide a vehicle for him, get him to and from where he needed to go, and that was that on that. The plan changed when I got there that day.
And when you loaded your stuff, if you were just going to drive him someplace, why did you need to load up gear into the van yourself before you went to go get him?
Just because. I mean, he told me that morning, I called him, I said, are you leaving? You know, are you doing this? He's like, yeah. I said, well, I'm leaving the house.
Well,
and then that's when I loaded my stuff.
All right.
I went back in, packed my stuff, and loaded it.
So you packed your stuff and loaded it knowing that after the shooting was over with, y'all were going to make a run for it, right?
Pretty much.
And did you know where you were going to go? Did you have any plan?
Not really, no.
Did you have any money?
Little.
How much did you have?
I don't know.
How were you going to buy gas? Because you tried to stop 2 or 3 times to buy gas, didn't you?
Yeah, Andrew had money.
Andrew had money. Do you know how much money Andrew had?
I don't know.
Okay. This next photograph, which is Exhibit 5, you'll see a lot of ammunition. Do you see that beside your gym bag?
Yes, sir.
Was that ammunition that you helped take from the house?
As far as I know.
Okay. Do you know which is the ammunition for the 30-06?
Not offhand, no.
Oh, you can't tell from that picture?
Mm-mm.
And again, these other knives, what do you know about those other knives?
They're not mine.
Well, did you help load them or have anything to do with them?
No, sir.
When
I didn't carry any of them.
When you were arrested, did you have any knives?
Yeah. Yes, sir, I did.
How many knives did you have on you when you were arrested?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
What were you going to do with the knives? Why'd you have the knives with you?
I carried a knife with me all the time.
What kind of knife did you carry all the time?
Normally a pocket knife.
All right, but that's not the knives you had on you when you were arrested. You had some of these hunting knives.
They were given to me, yes.
Okay, and you had it strapped on?
I believe they're in my pockets.
In your pockets?
Yes,
okay.
sir.
What were you going to do with them?
I don't know. You can do several things with knives, you know.
Well, what was your plan that day to use the knives for?
I don't know. I didn't really have one. Just, you know, stuff comes up, you need to cut rope, you use a knife. You need to cut limbs, you use a knife, you know.
Or you can hurt people with a knife.
You could. It's possible.
And Exhibit 7, is that a photograph of you made about the time of this shooting incident?
Yeah.
And the bottom picture, is that a picture of Andrew at the time he was apprehended?
I'm guessing so, yes. Looks like him.
And that's the way he was dressed after the camouflage was taken off, wasn't it?
I didn't see him after the camouflage was off. I was already in the police car.
When you were sitting there in the ambush site, before the shooting actually started, tell me everything you can remember, because at that time, you were fully at yourself, weren't you, before the shooting started?
What does that mean?
Well, you were fully conscious and aware of what was going on before the shooting started. I mean, you knew you weren't upset or anything else. You knew what was going on at that time, right?
For the most part, yes, sir.
Tell me what you said to Andrew and what Andrew said to you before the shooting started.
We really didn't talk much. I do remember telling him that, again, I reminded him, you know, you told me, you know, no one's supposed to get hurt. Just remember that. And, you know, he didn't really say anything. We didn't really talk. There wasn't really much to talk about. You know, I was following where he was. I was following his lead, where he went.
Who determined the ambush site location?
He did.
Did you ask him, why are we setting up this ambush site?
No.
Did you ask him why this place instead of some other place?
No, sir.
Did you know what school buildings you were close to?
Yes, sir.
What school buildings were you close to?
The middle school.
And was there a gymnasium also close?
I believe so.
And the middle school that you were close to, was that the school you were attending at the time?
Yes, sir, it was.
Was that the school Andrew was attending at the time?
Yes, sir.
Which teachers was Andrew mad at?
I don't know.
Had he ever discussed with you any teachers he had problems with?
No, sir.
Had he ever discussed with you any students he had problems with?
Not really.
Well, that's like being maybe. Did he kind of discuss it with you?
I don't remember specific names if he did.
And Andrew often walked around carrying a hunting knife with him, didn't he, before this incident took place?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I mean, I never checked his pockets. I don't, you know.
No, I'm talking about on the scabbard on his belt. Big hunting knife. Did you ever see him doing that?
No. Knives weren't allowed at school.
No. I'm talking about after school.
I
or
didn't
on weekends.
associate with him really after school.
The only time you associated with him was at school?
Pretty much.
How'd you and Andrew become friends?
On the bus. We rode the same bus together.
And he was how much younger than you?
He is a year younger than me.
When did you all ever go places together, do things together other than at school?
No, sir.
What made Andrew think he could approach you about participating in a shooting at a school and you not snitch him off?
I don't know.
Well, you had bragged to a lot of people that you were a gang member, had you not?
People knew that I was involved. I mean, it's not really hard to tell, you know.
Well, you bragged that you were, didn't you?
I sported my colors.
And what were your colors?
Red and green, black.
And did you try to flash gang signs?
I have in the past, yes.
Show me some of the gang signs you flashed and what they mean.
I don't participate in that anymore.
I understand, but show me what you did. I'm trying to find out what you did back then, what the gang signs you flashed and what they meant.
I'm not going to do that. You know, I said I don't participate in that anymore, and that's not something I do.
Sir, you
know?
don't have a right to refuse to ask reasonable questions, and that's a reasonable question, and that's something we might have to let the judge take up. And I don't think you want to incur the wrath of the judge, but if you do, that's your choice.
I mean,
that's your choice.
There's one symbol that, symbol that everybody's seen me throw up, which is universal, and that's the sign of a B.
That's what?
That's the sign of a B.
A sign of a beat?
Of a B. The letter B.
Oh, the letter B. And
Yeah.
what does that mean?
Blood.
Okay. And you had smoked marijuana on occasions before this shooting incident took place, right?
Yes, sir, I had.
And you'd smoked it with your dad?
At Scott's house, not physically with my dad.
Okay.
He didn't know that I'd found it.
But it was his marijuana?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We're at the end of our tape, so let's go off the record.
The time is, 1 p.m. and we are off the record. If we want to stretch, we're still attached.
I'm fine. I'm okay.
The time is 1:08 p.m. We are back on the record.
Mr. Johnson, before he broke, you asked me how much longer this deposition was going to go because you had to go to work. You remember telling me that?
Yes, sir.
But you'd earlier told me you didn't work.
I don't work. I meant to say I inquire about work. I had an interview, today
Where?
in Bentonville,
With whom?
lawn care service.
Okay. And throughout the course of this deposition, as I recall, I've referred to you as Mr. Johnson, have I not?
That is correct, sir.
Various times in the deposition, you've referred to me as Bobby, right?
I believe so.
And why would that, if I would call you Mr. Johnson, why would you call me first name? Just out of curiosity?
I don't know. I don't know.
Do you have a problem with respect for people in certain positions or authority? or
No,
anything?
sir.
No disrespect intended?
No, none intended, sir. I apologize.
No, I'm not asking for that. I was just
Okay.
asking what makes you tick.
Oh, that's fine. No, sir.
Okay. We have that I'm going to mark as Exhibit A to this deposition, a photograph of the gun rack in Doug Golden's home. You remember this gun rack, do you not?
Yes, sir.
And in this gun rack, do you remember whether the guns were secured in any fashion or not?
I believe they were.
And how were they secured?
I'm not sure. I think with the lock.
Was there a cable running through the trigger guards, and then there was a padlock at the end? Is that your recollection?
I believe so. I think so. I'm not sure.
The key was either right in or on the trigger guard. I mean, right by the lock, wasn't it? Hanging on the nail, wasn't it?
I don't know. I
Did
didn't unlock it.
That's Exhibit 1 to an earlier deposition. Well, did you see the keys hanging on the nail?
No, sir.
Did you see Andrew get the key?
No, sir, I didn't.
The gun rack is about 12 feet long, wasn't it?
Approximately, I don't really recall.
Okay. And you and Andrew broke into the basement with a crowbar?
Yes, sir, we broke in. I don't know exactly with what. I can't remember.
And in that, did you break in the basement or was it the first floor level?
It was the basement.
And when you broke in the basement, did you stay in the basement or did you go upstairs?
For a while, I stayed in the basement, watching the back door.
And Exhibit B is a photograph of the basement and the back door, correct?
I believe that looks like it.
All right. Were any guns taken off these racks?
No, not that I know of.
Okay. Then Exhibit C is a group of photographs taken apparently inside your van. See that? Those are photographs inside the van, correct?
As far as I can tell,
Whose camouflage equipment is that in the back seat of the van in the top left photo?
it's not mine.
Okay.
So,
And this plastic case, is that where bullets were taken out of a shell casing or a casing to load the guns?
I don't know what that is.
Okay.
It might be.
What are these boxes of things in Rolodex or whatever it is? Do you know what that information is?
No, sir, I don't.
Was your mother employed at the time?
My mother? No.
Was your stepfather employed?
Yes, sir.
What was his job?
He's a construction worker, or he was, still is.
Okay. when Andrew brought all this equipment out to the truck, the machetes, the hunting bows and arrows, the rope with the duct tape, canteens, and various things shown in these pictures, what'd you say to him or ask him about what all that stuff was for?